As for Ariel, the update. Before the holidays, I had started working on a project. Uh, if you will recall, a few months ago in Houston, Texas, there was a case where three boys were left in an apartment in Houston, Texas, with the remains of their younger brother who had been beaten to death by the mother's boyfriend. In the process of the different interviews and everything, press conferences that were going on, a Houston area protective services worker had made mention of how the agency would use Amazon wish lists to um, get things for the children, for victims, parents, families, in cases where they were involved. Uh, and I thought, that's something the community could do for Ariel's sisters to get them some things, um, just a way to show some love from the community. And so I have been working diligently on that, and I have been essentially beating my head against a brick wall. I first contacted the Honolulu Police Department, thinking that maybe Crime Stoppers could handle it since Crime Stoppers is not the the investigators. And the reply that I received basically said, no, we can't we wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. And I gathered from that maybe it could have been perceived as a conflict of interest for them to be receiving gifts on behalf of the children who were subject to this active investigation. That made sense. I next reached out to the Honolulu Fire Department. Um, I didn't see where there could possibly be a conflict of interest since they're not an investigative agency or, they're not protective services. And they basically didn't feel like they were the right agency. After that, I started calling different uh, charitable agencies and churches in the Honolulu area. The one agency that I did contact did end up making contact with, referred me to someone else because that agency is actually closed due to COVID. It basically shut their doors. They're not functioning anymore. They referred me to someone else, and that person has yet to contact me in return. The day before yesterday, I called. I just broke down and said, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and they would have to be involved, even if I could find someone in the Honolulu area to receive deliveries from Amazon, eventually protective service to the girls. The first call, I they took my information. I received a call back from, I cannot remember his name, uh, but he was obviously not a supervisor, and I had asked to speak to a supervisor, specifically the supervisor over the girls' case, if possible. This person was obviously not a supervisor because he spoke of passing information along, but he was so completely dismissive and disinterested. And he was basically saying, no, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to facilitate that without actually saying, no, we're not going to help you. So I called back the next day to try and speak with someone else. And I was very specific this time that I would really like to speak to the caseworker for the girls or the supervisor over the girls' case. I was put in touch with a woman this time who, again, was very dismissive. It's almost as if she wasn't even listening to what I was saying. She was just waiting for me to finish talking so that she could tell me how I can't break confidentiality and da da da, yada yada. Um, I explained to her that there was absolutely no need for confidentiality to be broken. I didn't need to know where the girls live, who they were with, whether or not you have an active case. I just need to know if someone can get these gifts to these girls. Because even if there isn't an active case, which we all know that there is, but even if there isn't an active case, they would still be aware of where the girls were placed and where they were living, and they would be able to take things there and say, hey, uh, the world at large loves these girls and sent them these gifts. So I have not given up. I am going to transition into um, some different steps to try to get these gifts to these girls. Um, it really, I don't know why it is so stuck in my spirit to get to find a way that the true crime community who has followed and been dedicated to Ariel's case, who has cared about, loved, prayed for her sisters, who has um, all of us who have read the things that these girls went through, not only at the hands of the Kaluas, but at the hands of others. They have been through a lot. They have hurt. They have seen a lot less happiness in life than any child should. Um, so it is just in my heart and soul that I want to facilitate a way that the community can reach out and show them some love. Gifts, toys, electronics, clothes, none of that is going to bring back their sister. None of that is going to take away the hurt that they've been through. None of that is going to comfort them when they have nightmares at night. But at least it's a small something, something tangible that will say to them, not everybody is the monster that the Kaluas were. Not everyone is the monster that these other people who hurt you were. There are people out here who love you, who care about your well being, who want to see you happy, successful, thriving, who want to see you walk into a bright future. So look for that soon. Um, the next phase of my attempts to make that happen.